Only Hampton Gomlock down the come Yanromaroti, Mawasi or the Tama of the couple already. Kashita Chongli, the Hampton Gombo, some Hampton super young day. Hankoloda, was it of the Tilla, Sambata, Niji, Tayong, Shenkomala, the Bayon, we already take some good Pata. Shemomala, Samba, the Nayan from Niji Yungori, they something except the Dabata, but they tell Jevati, something in Jevayo, the Bata, Samba, and Niji, they something Jevayo, the Jevata, the Bata, Samba, Niji, Chatham, Sunam, they talk with your Pen Sunam, Shivata, Ha corner, the Sunam. 사지를 띵 요래 손은 자체보사나 손은 총총 마도 못하 봐 양손은 총총 그 손은 전부 토바대 탑let이 연구 요래 대 손은 탐색이 받아 샘조래 손은 집어 샘조래 그때에는 다다 대 탐색이 뭐 가래나 되게 좀 속사 남들 연구 요래
So just before we talked about how to visualize the mantra garland circulating and different visualizations of the vital element, the drop moving up and down and so on. And now, of course, it is very difficult to visualize all of that together. So you can see which one is works very well for you. And now if you feel that the mantra garland circulating is very, very precious, then you can just visualize only that. Just focus on that, on the circulating mantra garland, and then also how then from that the light rays emanate and then gather back. And these are the light rays of love and compassion. And when they are shining to the higher beings, then they become light rays of devotion. And when they touch upon all sentient beings, then they purify their obscurations. These light rays of loving kindness that the suffering of sentient beings and then become compassion, and then through that light of compassion then the obscurations of sentient beings are purified. So whether it becomes devotion or compassion, they all are connected to the same feeling, which is the love, a feeling of love. That feeling of love is what then makes offerings and also purifies obscurations. And then the greater faith and the greater your love, the greater will be also the merit that you accumulate. And so once you understand merit, then the Buddha can show a method to accumulate merit. And there is a way to accumulate vast merit through a very small practice, a method. And also it goes the other way. There is a way that becomes small or a small merit becomes vast, depending on our state of mind. what determines really the level or the extent of the merit we accumulate depends mainly on the mind, and therefore also the visualization. And therefore, whatever visualization you practice here, they also a way to purify obscurations and to accumulate merit.
Zabalina Kashi, Zabalina Kalate, Losum Tate took the American sword or lager the coin. Zabalina Better Kalate, Kashi, Ranga Kala, Tokuman, Beto, Chatasien, Taturashi Tagori. These are just Sunam Chechong, the Telestao Yori. Tamki, Jabata Joba, Telestin, something in Lake Asamatil, that Tokyo. The tabla che sono per saggi di tini Jaboki col saggi portal che parla di Nimache Kalate ya Magi Tram ha Jaboti Botri Yapochi sono di Gisern Gondi Jaboti sono Chatan Saggi che Pamo di sono Pachita Tovore sono Tito sono with Tot Hako Mari per tap lesa Kangre Belzata 아주 도도들 되게 요래 tiktasono tosa yimena toldo di ben meche tan meche de meche tonse meche lakwan chance de samche ben nyong 차잖아 야 아리 고버트 제소는 하여튼 총총이잖아 데 토크요야 데 가르세를 토크요리나 야 따따따스는 총총이나 데 디아스마들이 반도론도 대다 토크요리 대응하더니 말아리 배수바리 소남 데 벨록 메시나 만올라 합샤 마지게 소남 그 벨록디 심지 그 제대티 배부 돈에 소남 벨 총례데 좀 앞에 맞잖아 매일나니 무제 말이 제 말아리 베텔라바리 대회는 제 소남 좀 봐대 사도 요는 사바탑 대도 차디 요래 까바도 서섭제도 바다선 그 요래 답을 개발을 되는 사기거든요. 때려들이 찾긴 가능해 봤다죠. 나서 답들이 못 받았더니 데를 잡아 온 거예요. 근데 상하게는 보는 달이 또 쓰면 되니 대했던 때 사기 개발이 사미지 개발 셈거든요. 셈도 셈지 답지 셈다. 소주 가서 셈지 제치 과연 봐 뒤차리더니 또 삼바던 기제대 사지 셈단 들어와요. 들이 미치는 이게 총총도 깨나 되게 수능 빠지면 받고 그래라 대다 하고 그래 들이들이 뭐 받을 건도 들이대 오 뭐니 팽게도 정말 저스는 그 초사는 제베시 초사지 저스 받은 게 있지는 제베시 받대 라그 다디 파도 다디 파서는 라그 생분 처럼도 보다 전에더니 라그 생분 내록 통화를 다 년이로 그래 들이 이식의 초선 그래
So what we call merit, so for example, there are some people I've heard, for example, in America, who have so much money that they could feed the entire world for 3 years. And then there is some who don't even find their own food, no matter how hard they try, and often they even commit suicide. So there is this vast, and that is really a difference in the merit that they have accumulated in the past. So all the merit really comes from love, and with love we practice generosity and ethical discipline and patience and so on. And then that one attains various results. And so in terms of a skillful way of accumulating merit, for example, the Buddha Shakyamuni, when he was alive, there was once a king who invited the Buddha together with his retinue to come have a meal. So the king food for the Buddha and his vast assembly of monks. And then in the end of the line, there was this old, poor woman who just witnessed that, and she was so impressed, and she thought, this is so incredible what this king is doing. I so rejoice in that. And new mind, and he saw that actually, because she rejoiced, that her marriage and the king's marriage is the same. So it is just that mostly we don't know really how to accumulate merit. So actually, one very easy way to accumulate merit, for example, is this liberation by seeing these wristbands, these bracelets that I'm distributing to everyone. And if you have no other way to accumulate merit, that's actually a very simple way and a very powerful way to accumulate merit. Because anyone who sees that or who touches that will benefit from that and will purify obscurations. And so that is even more powerful than $10,000 or so. And the reason why it is so powerful, it seems a very small merit, but really what you're doing with that is because you're benefiting so many beings, you're really actually preparing your livelihood, your resources and possessions for future lives. Milarepa also had said, if one has to know the way how to increase, how to perpetuate merit, and that is actually knowing how to perpetuate merit is actually the most skillful way of doing like business or trading, so to say. And so when you really know merit, and know you, for example, benefit beings with something like this, or you, for example, you have something like that and then you're selling it. Often people don't like to sell or take money for things like this. But actually, in that way, when people pay for this and accumulate merit at the same time, so this is how merit goes around in circles and also increases. And this is what Milarepa really meant. That's the skillful means for perpetuating merit, for having it circulate around. And so the reason why this is so beneficial is because it is said that by just seeing this liberation mantra once, one purifies the obscurations accumulated in 300 million aeons. So it is a very simple but very skillful way to merit, even if you don't have a lot of other resources. And so now regarding the generation stage, the deity yoga, we have mentioned before that we accomplish it by virtue of those three powers. And we have said there is defiled bliss and undefiled bliss, or defiled virtue and undefiled virtue. And undefiled, pure virtue is to recognize that all beings have a single basis of mind. And on the basis of love and compassion is connected to the mind of the Buddhas. And therefore, if one only cultivates some compassion and then uses these skillful means, one really accumulates a tremendous amount of merit. And so now here also for the visualization, you understand the benefit. And you understand the real benefit, so you're making an effort in this visualization. And in that way, a rather small cause turns into a great the attainment of primordial wisdom. So the cause is marriage. It is love and compassion, and that leads to the result. And it leads to that result because of love and compassion, self-grasping diminishes. So the ice block is melting, and as it melts, closer and closer to seeing the nature of your mind. And that is, when you see the nature of the mind, then that is the accumulation of wisdom.
They're going to Rakwasa to travel Chava, Babu Pogatan Chibara, Chapti about there, was a son of Don to the woman and the long Leona, the new Babu Pogatan, Clang with Solon daughter. They throw out the jelly, they or touch it, Jang to some of it. 그래. 다 짜장 토마토 소주 때문에 당연히 짜장 토송 꼭지 공로 도스 유사랑 배로 사람도 통도 좋아되기는 니 무슨 짜장 토요래 랑랑을 때려 타지 거래.
And so if you really wish to train the channels, winds and drops practices, you cannot just start very directly with all these visualizations because it's also not that easy. So if you're really interested in training in that, then you would first begin with training in the channels where you visualize all the channels. Mainly you start with the 3 main channels and the 4 main chakras, which are more the coarse channels, and then we also visualize all the subtle channels that extend to each and every pore of your skin. So you then think that everything is pervaded by these channels, and the winds each and every channel and reach each and every pore. And as the winds reach each and every pore, the winds also leave through each pore to the outside. And there's a feeling of then the outer and the inner merging. So as the winds connect through the pores or space, then there is no more outer and inner. So there's this feeling that must arise. And when that feeling arises, an actual experience of that, then you have really trained in the channels. So it will not happen just all at once through some visualizations. So you train in that, and then when you gain the experience that when you're training the winds and you're inhaling, and then you're pervading the winds throughout all your channels, and then the winds leave through each and every pore, the subtle channels, and leave to the outside, and there's no outer and inner. When this feeling, this experience arises, then you have trained in the channels, and then you can actually really decide for yourself that you have accomplished that.
대신에 이 지마 공성 가리 롱 칸을 롱망 마성내야더니 라비 속점 나더니 때문에 롱 대형 거리 발롱지 때 발롱 롱지는 때 가나를 롱들이 또 혼으로 뛰어야 돼마 뒤내가 대신에 롱 때와 발롱 대유는 보대 토고요 때 하고 그래.
And so then, when you're training in the winds, then you're inhaling first in the beginning. You're inhaling the air. So you're inhaling through the left and the right channel, and then there's the central channel. These are the main visualizations, and then you're bringing the winds down to so having inhaled the air, you're bringing it down to the navel and just below where the three channels converge, and holding the winds there then eventually will cause the winds to enter into the central channel. And often, for this reason, often people they practice holding the winds there at the navel for a very long time. And actually that is not necessary. What's actually most important is that the mind abides there. Because even if winds are retained at the navel, so if you're holding your breath and you're retaining the winds here at the navel, but if the mind is not actually there, then the subtle winds do not actually really abide there. So what's really important is that the mind really abides there. So you shouldn't force yourself to hold the winds for too long. You can hold them for however long it is comfortable. And while the winds then remain there, so after you have inhaled and the winds come down to the navel, at that time, then think that the winds then pervade all the channels, and then the winds also leave through each and every pore of your body through the subtle channels. And so you train in that way. And then when you exhale the air, then think that the channels all become emptied. And then again, you're inhaling the air. It is just like an inflated sheep's intestines, which is empty. So you're inhaling the air, and the channels become inflated like that. And so in this way, you are training in the channels and the winds. And then so gradually you also visualize how not just the coarse channels are pervaded, but also the subtle channels to reach each and every pore. And then those winds go outside and they leave the bodies through each pore. And there is this feeling, an actual experience of that that must arise. So you must actually experience that happening. And when you actually experience it, then you have really trained in the winds. And another important point is that what some people do when they practice with the winds is that they extend their bellies. And that is actually not good at all. Because what is really happening is that the winds have to move through the channels. The winds pervade the channels. And that actually, this pervasive, like the force of pervasiveness, actually more causes a contraction, a slight contraction of the abdomen, and not an extension. And that actually, it leads to actually quite a lot of troubles if the belly is too much extended. So don't extend the belly and have the winds pervade the channels through the visualization. And so when the winds then abide here, the navel, and then if the winds enter into the central channel, and through that they all the other channels. So you train in that gradually. And then if you find that now I'm able to do instantly, in an instant, I can clearly visualize all of that and experience all of that, then you have trained in the channels and in the winds. And so it is much like you're preparing like a field. You're making it ready. So that is why you're doing these visualizations and training in the channels and winds and so on. So you go step by step, and you move on to the next step once you have resolved and really experienced the previous step. And then you move on to training in the bindos, the drops, and that is then to to the actual Tumo practice, also that Drupal Rinpoche is always explaining. And so those drops, those bindos, they reside in the brain area. And during the practice of Tumo, we are melting these drops, and then they descend down to the navel. And in the navel, we have the red drop. And so actually these drops that we're visualizing here is not something that we are fabricating. We are not fabricating something that wasn't already there before. Actually, the red drop at the navel